And we're back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Royal Sickle. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Nathaniel, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Ashley. Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
There she is. As you guys know, we are bringing all sorts of stuff to the channel, but this is a quick, just like reminder video / kind of surprise random video that we wanted to make. So if you guys don't know what's behind us and all of this stuff that's going on here, these are the Bloom Burrow Commander decks. And as you can see from the title above me, and hopefully the title of the video and the thumbnail and everything, buy these decks now. The Bloom Burrow Boom. What an incredible name.
Thank you. That was 5 a.m.
What an incredible name. But yeah, so if you guys don't know, I have a lot of Commander decks, or we have a lot of Commander decks. We buy a lot of pre-con Commander decks specifically, and that's what these are. So the other day, what about 2-3 days ago?
I think so.
I was home talking to her and I was like, hey, you want to know something that's really strange? And I checked ManaBox, which is the app that we use. I still wasn't looking at the camera, which is the app that we use for tracking our Magic cards. It's a really, really good app. I think it's a great app. It's not, obviously we're not sponsored, but I highly recommend any of you to go check out ManaBox. It's a great app. But I was checking it and I was just seeing like what different cards were worth and what different like decks were doing, because every once in a while I like to see it and be like, oh, are the Lord of the Rings decks still worth so much because I own all of those? Or how did I don't know, what's another example? How's Sidar doing? Because that's one of my favorite decks, but he's not actually worth that much. You know, he's like $40 or $50 I think usually. So, but there was a time he was up to like 70. So I was checking that and I noticed that every single one of these Bloom Burrow decks, the value of the cards in them is through the roof. I mean, genuinely, I don't own many precons worth more than even the cheapest one of these in terms of card value. And that's saying something when I own, what, maybe 25? Or we own maybe, what, 25? Something like that?
That are open.
That are opened, and even more that were not opened.
I think we own another 25 that are unopened.
It's not that many, okay? I think it's 20, all right? 20. Fine. Anyways, these four are actually in that category. These are unopened, but we do own them, and I just wanted to shout them out because if you can pick them up at a good price, or you're interested in one of the themes of these, you're going to be getting some great cards for that theme at hopefully a great price. So I just want to preface, we're going to be going through the slides here and just talking about each deck individually, but I want to preface before we jump into this, do not buy these at their marked up prices. I am not saying that these decks are worth buying at the money that their value of the cards are in. I'm saying that if you can find these decks at their normal value, which I think is about $45 is the retail of a Commander deck. Now, if you do buy them in bulk, like all four of them, for example, I was able to get them for about $30 to $35 a Commander deck, which is really, really good. But even if you're able to find these for $45 or $50, it's probably still a good pickup if you're excited for that deck. So let's go ahead and jump into these. We have them sectioned off into the four decks. The very first one here, hopefully we're not blocking too much, is Family Matters. This is it says Family Matters, make offspring go wide, but we wanted to just kind of detail a little bit about what this deck does. So this deck makes offsprings. For those of you that don't know, that is a mechanic that was introduced in Bloom Burrow, the main set, and it's essentially a extra price that you can pay on a creature, and then it creates a 1/1 token copy of itself, but it has all of its token copy of itself. So it has all of its ETB triggers or all of its activated abilities, triggered abilities, etc. So what this deck does is it says the commander gives all of your creature spells that you cast offspring 2, I think is what it is. So every card that you cast, which really in the future we might want to just put the commanders on this section so that they can read what the commanders do. But you know what? We're learning. So yeah, this deck lets you make offspring of all of the creatures. So you want to just jam pack it full of ETB triggers. It wants other creatures that maybe not ETB but have other triggered abilities. When this happens, you draw a card. When this happens, you put +1/+1 counters on things, all sorts of stuff like that. And then also it is expected to kind of go wide with all the tokens that you're going to be making. And yeah, it's pretty powerful. I haven't actually opened the one that we have. I haven't opened ours yet, or we haven't opened ours yet, but I have seen this out in the wild. I have seen it at the game store that I work at, and I've actually, a good friend of mine, Javi from my math cohort, because I'm a future math teacher over here, actually had an upgraded version of this deck, and I saw it in work. It does some pretty good wonders. So what's your opinion on this deck?
I mean, I don't know too much about all the Bloom Burrow ones. We've played a lot of the draft. Well, not a lot. We've played some of the draft, but I don't know as much. But it seems like a really good one.
So this one is actually the lowest value right now in
It
mana
is.
box, and the mana box value for all the cards in this deck are $115. Now we also included on here the Amazon price for you guys in case you.
I made the presentations.
Yeah, she made them.
And yet again, which is okay. I like making them. But I included the Amazon price for all of these because when you look for them, it's really hard to find them on like your usual sites. Game Nerds, TCG Player, they don't have them. They're not there.
Yeah.
They don't
And
exist.
the reason for that, is because of the price of the cards, and the price of the cards is also because of that reason, right? So it goes back and forth. The supply of these is very low, but what we are trying to say is if you manage to find this, honestly, even at $70, but really cheaper than that at 60 or even that intended 45, this is still at the lowest value here, a steal. So if you like Jeskai, if you like making tokens, if it sounds cool to theme it around triggered abilities and making copies of those. So when you would normally have a creature doing it one time, you're actually going to have creatures doing them twice. This is your deck. And you can have a lot of fun with that token too, because you can do things like, I forget the name of the card, but you return all non-token creatures to their hand. So you make copies of a bunch of your stuff, and then you basically wipe everyone's board, but you still have half your board left and all your triggered abilities. Really cool stuff. Okay, so next we have
Peace Offering.
Peace Offering. This is Bumbleflower, Mrs. Bumbleflower.
Miss Bumbleflower.
I think is the name of this one. So as you guys can see here, we did the same exact thing where we did the... there we go. We did the same exact thing where we just listed it out here in a tiny bullet point. So what does this deck do? Well, of course, it is Bant, I think is the name of green, white, and blue. Group Hug. It wants to cast spells because Miss Bumbleflower gives you payoffs for every time you cast a spell, which can get to be some really long turns, but that's kind of what Group Hug does, is it sort of buffs up everybody else, and since you're buffing them up, they don't want to hurt you, so they hurt the other players at the table, and then at the end game, when everyone is all really buffed up, you are casting a lot of spells, you're getting a lot of payoffs, and you hope to overwhelm them in the late game. Green, white, and blue is a great color combo to do this. Simic is usually a late game sort of deck. Celestia is usually more of like a go wide sort of deck, but they do come together pretty well for this Group Hug theme. And all around, you either love the Bumbleflower or you hate the Bumbleflower. There's no in between. But from what I've seen of it, it looks really fun. And yeah. Give me a second. There we go. So this one is $120, which is what, 5 more than the last one?
It is about
right?
5 more.
5 more than the last one. So not much more, but again, the fact that these decks are even $120 worth of cards, and there is a chance that you could pick these up for $45, $50 if you see them. I cannot reiterate enough, do not pay $120 for this deck. It's not worth it, but it is a great deck for $45 that is going to have that added benefit of being worth $120.
Absolutely.
You have anything else to say about good old Miss Bumbleflower?
No, I mean, I'm excited for it because I love my top 3 colors in Magic.
Top 3 colors. She's definitely probably going to be a Bant player in the future, or at least Celestia, Simic, or Bant, or the Zorius, I guess, right? Because those are your other... Those are the breakdowns of 2 colors that are those 3 colors.
But yeah, I mean, don't buy it for $88.
No, don't even buy it for $88.
Don't. Be looking for it at your game store, Barnes & Noble, places that sell little things like we almost found the Doctor Who ones at Barnes & Noble one time.
Exactly. Well, we actually did. There was a timey-wimey was in a similar place where it was around $100 and they were selling it at retail price, not knowing any better. And we didn't pick it up. By the time we went back to pick it up, someone else, of course, had jumped on that. But yeah, you can find it at your Barnes & Nobles, your Books A Millions even. You can find it at Target, Walmart. Those are all places that do sell Magic cards. So if you happen to see it, just know these decks are doing really good. Okay, moving along as quickly as can be. I'm actually kind of noticing that the way we have this set up, it can't see that, but that's interesting. All right, so what does this deck do? Next we have the way, the Animated Army. This one's so cool. I just love raccoons in general. Go Trash Pandas.
Raccoon deck.
It's not a raccoon themed deck, but it still has a raccoon as the commander. And a lot of the raccoons from the set will actually be good upgrades for this just because it wants to play things that cost 4 or more, I think.
Expend.
And so all of those expend triggers are going to trigger from the main set. That being said, what does this deck really do? Well, you want to play big enchantments or artifacts that aren't auras and aren't equipments. And the commander of this deck is going to turn those into 4/4 creatures that can kind of overrun your opponents. So you're going to try to overwhelm them with big stompy in the end game. Of course, this is a green-red. It's slipping my mind right now. But it's a green-red deck, so that's like, staple big stompy, right? It's like your dinosaur colors, essentially. And Gulta, for those of you that know that card, is in this deck, as it should be. So, yeah, this deck is just it's a lot of fun. It's really powerful. I've seen this out in the wild more than any of the Bloom Burrow ones.
I believe that.
I have seen this one the most. The commander is a lot of fun to build around, even if you don't go with the precon. Any thoughts on this one?
No, I mean, I'm excited for this one.
Excited for it?
Even though I don't love red.
And there we have it. This one's mana box value is $160, which is insane. I don't have it pulled up right now, but there is one card in this that is like $30 or something like that. And it's not a reprint. It's actually a new card from not the set, but from this commander deck as a new card. Because for those of you that don't know, commander precons do occasionally come with brand new cards. And one of those in this has just skyrocketed in value. Again, the Amazon price for this, if you were wanting to pick it up from there, is $120. Do not pay that. That is honestly just a few bucks cheaper than at the right place where you might be able to get all 3 or 4 of these, right? Yeah. So definitely do not pay that price, but we just wanted to let you know the mana box value of this is $160. If you do see it at a game store or something like that, and it's 60, maybe even 70, and you love the idea of it, pick it up. Don't pick it up just for value, even at $60 or $70.
No.
But at $45, maybe you should. It just depends. You can also look up the deck list and decide if any of the cards are good for you there. All right, moving on to our very last one today. The fourth one is the Squirrel Away deck. Now, what does this deck do? You might think, make squirrels and overwhelm them with squirrels. And we do have that here, overwhelm opponents with squirrels and food. But I do want to just go ahead and point out that this deck is known for being a little deceptive. There's only about, I think there was maybe about 11 squirrel payoffs the last time I looked at the deck list. And watch some videos talking about it. So just know that if you're wanting to really dive into go wide squirrels, there are better decks you can build like Chatterfang. And he is in this deck, so if you do purchase this and you want to build that deck, you certainly can. But the actual commander that this comes with wants to do things more with general tokens and also wants to do things with food and some graveyard sub themes and whatnot, but it is still going to have like your odd acorn gang, which is a pretty good squirrel related card, and those sorts of things. Now the main reason that this one is the last one here is because currently this has the most value, which isn't too much of a surprise considering the popularity of squirrels, but also consider the fact that the Amazon price for this is $150. Right now it looks like retailers, at least mass retailers online, are aware of what these cards are worth. So just keep that in mind. You should not be paying that sort of price. But if you do like the idea of hoarding tokens, making a lot of food, making a lot of squirrels, going wide, doing some graveyard shenanigans, and you can find this at a pretty good price of $40, $50, $60, you're going to be doubling, if not tripling, the amount of money that you put into it, which is just, if you want to build a squirrel deck, there's no better way to get this kind of value, right? If you buy these cards individually, even if you only buy half of them, you're probably still paying $90 or $100 for the really good cards for what you want.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, any closing thoughts before we close this out? It's a quick one.
I mean, just don't buy them off Amazon.
No, don't buy them off Amazon. Unless you suddenly see that on Amazon, they're $40 or $50, in which case, buy them off Amazon.
But also, don't buy a deck you haven't looked into.
That's true.
Don't.
Even if you think that you're going to like it, it's worth unless you don't want to be spoiled, but it's worth at least
look at the commander.
You can look, it's worth looking at the commander, and it's also worth checking out other videos that go more in depth about the deck. If you don't want to see specific cards, you can always skip past parts of those videos. We have unboxing videos that we're going to start putting on the channel and whatnot, so you guys will eventually see all of these decks. It just might be a while before I get around to opening them. But just know that, generally speaking, no, you should not buy a commander deck that you're not interested in at all, even if it's great value. But if you think that there is something in there that you need, or something in there that, if there's a card in here that's $30 worth and you need that for another deck and you can find it for $45 for the deck, pick up the deck. That's definitely worth it.
Better value than just picking the $30 card.
Okay, well, that's all we had to share with you guys today. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you do catch these out in the wild for a cheap price, let us know because we will be really excited to hear that that happened. But yeah, we just wanted to let you guys know. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. All your guys' support has been huge for Rollsicle, and we cannot thank you guys enough. But we will see you guys in the next one. Until then, may the rolls be ever in your favor. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Bye, y'all.